just dropped. Good RNG on the click. Okay, I like the cover. Okay. Okay, mid. Decent beat. Add to playlist. Not even close. Okay, bad title. Skip. Horrible. Trash. Alright. I'm falling asleep. Taking too long to start. Trash. Heard it before. Mid. Okay, I think we're done here. That's officially a negative ratio. And this new Yeet album is mid.
Conductor, we have a problem. Conductor, we have a problem. Conductor.
Albums are dying and no one wants to talk about it. I know. Now, there are exactly 4 reasons for this, but they're all part of the same problem. In order to truly understand what's happening, we have to go back all the way to 1948. Because up until then, popular music had been created and consumed strictly on a single basis. I mean, the most you could even put on a record was like 5 minutes of material. So fresh off World War II, to celebrate, rival labels RCA and Columbia Records each came out with new and alternative vinyl formats. And I do hope you know what vinyl is. RCA with the 7-inch single holding 5 minutes per side, and Columbia with the 12-inch LP holding almost 50 minutes in total. Initially, the LP was only used for classical music recordings, while the 7-inch was more dominant in the pop singles market. And all the way up until the 1960s, singles was pretty much where it was at, while albums were merely an afterthought. So what happened in the 60s? Well, in short, the Beatles happened. They thought the 12-inch LP was pretty cool. So cool that they decided to shape all their tracks in a way that suits the format. And everyone else was like, hey, that is pretty fucking cool. What brilliant writing. You know what? How about you come down here and try making this video not boring? No, please, be my guest. Thank you. It wasn't long before the Beatles LPs took the world by storm. And now all of a sudden, everybody wanted to drop albums. For the first time ever, the album replaced the song as the main unit of artistic production. And the 7-inch single was made irrelevant. With concept albums on the rise, the idea of the album was officially born. Now, that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with, the 7-inch. 7 inches is perfectly fine. The idea of the album, what does that even mean? The album as a format and the album as an idea are 2 different things. As a format, an album can be any collection of random songs bundled into one project. But as an idea, the album was and always will be a cohesive and conceptual body of work, meant to be enjoyed from beginning to end as an experience. An experience which I believe is quickly becoming a relic of the past. So why? What happened? What changed? Well, funny you asked that, because this is the first reason. It's pretty much widespread knowledge that Drake's projects for the past 6 years haven't been his best. Even his biggest fans will admit that. Between More Life, Scorpion, that care package thing he dropped, CLB, and Honestly Nevermind, which was accurately titled, I'll put it like this. If you were to round up 10 people in a room and play them any of these projects front to back, guaranteed at least 6 of them are falling asleep every time. To me, this doesn't make any sense. How does one consistently fail at their craft year after year, only to be rewarded with unprecedented levels of popularity? Even though it's true Drake has recently failed at releasing great albums, the reality is that's not even what he was trying to do in the first place. I think that his albums, and other people's albums too, especially in rap, are made with the explicit knowledge that people are just gonna skim through. Okay, I like this track, okay, I like that track, keep those, cool. What's next? That's not an album. That is a playlist. Even though the label gives it a cool cover and calls it an album for marketing purposes. And why not stuff the project with as many tracks as possible while you're at it? You never know. One of them might pop off on TikTok and go viral. It's not like people are gonna listen to the whole thing anyway, so why bother? The way we approach music has changed, so naturally the artists adapted. How did the album go from being perceived as this multi-layered conceptual experience to frankly, playlist fodder.
I wish you'd have listened to this.
Well, I would have, except my record player doesn't work now.
Your stereo's broken? Yeah. How can you stand it? I couldn't live without music.
The period from the mid-1960s to the late 1970s is what a lot of people call the golden era of the album. In this era, the music industry exploded to become bigger than Hollywood. For the first time, listeners started paying attention to artists for more than the length of a hit. And so singers became celebrities and fans became obsessed. In contrast to future generations, those growing up in the 1970s valued album listening more, partially because of their limited access to any other source of entertainment. Because your dad was probably hogging the TV, watching the news or some shit, not like there was anything on anyway, and you had like a radio in the kitchen, which, like, you would just know that's where the mom was. Absolutely sickening and reprehensible. Oh, come on. It was the fucking 70s. You can't even point out history anymore. It's literally what happened. Disgusting. Alright, so one of the biggest reasons the album became wildly popular amongst the youth is that it was the only medium you could access at the time. By the end of the 70s, album sales had begun slowing down, which officially marked the end of the LP-driven golden age. Basically, the TV and the video game industry came along and politely said, L plus ratio plus you're white. What happened was, now teens and adolescents were exposed to other sources of entertainment. That doesn't mean they didn't care about music anymore. It's just that now other options existed. And sometimes, maybe not often, but sometimes, they chose option B over option A. Turns out, that was just a sign of things to come. Because today, there is so much shit you can do just on the internet, and pretty much everyone has access to it. Since there are so many options for everybody, albums can often land at the bottom of the list. It's like this. You have an hour of free time. You could choose option A, a Lil Baby album, or literally in that same time frame. That's like an episode of Family Guy, 3 Key and Peele videos, 2 COD games, 10 minutes of anti-Semitic TikToks, and you still have 5 minutes left to do whatever you want. I'm pretty sure you get like 6 times the dopamine if you go with option B. Why would you go with the album? There is no reason to. People can just skim through and pick out singles they like, or skip all that and just listen to curated playlists. I mean, even easier. They literally pick the tracks for you. Come on! Because fuck having an identity, fuck being your own man, just listen to whatever's popular. You go, girl, put that rap caviar on. Swallow the spoon of Spotify's artificially generated playlist. Let's go. Compared to 30, 20, or even 10 years ago, we are so easily distracted by everything that's become available to us. Albums didn't even really stand a chance, especially if we consider how long form they are. Gen Z doesn't have the to sit through a 60-minute record. Are you fucking kidding me?
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
The 1980s saw the introduction of MTV, a TV channel which played music 24/7, and at the time that was revolutionary. Of course, as we all know today, the channel became a huge success. And with it being on TV and all, artists starting releasing visuals to go along with their music. This proved to be a winning formula, with the music video helping return the hit single back to prominence as a pop marketing tool in the 80s. This led to the development of the modern album launch, which is present to this day, intended to drive an album's marketing momentum for an extended period of time, ranging from many weeks and months to even more than a year, although not so much today. Dependent on outlets like MTV that exclusively played hit songs, record companies placed more pressure on recording acts to achieve instant commercial success and marketability.
What are you doing? Did you even read the script?
And I think we all see where this is going. The LP format was soon replaced by the cassette in the 80s and CDs in the 90s, which both allowed people to break up the album themselves with home taping and easier song skipping. Also, you can now listen to music on the go with the Sony Walkman.
The Walkman from Sony, the one and only.
One.
People don't realize just how important the physical format was for the album. In my opinion, this is the main reason albums aren't what they used to be. Before, you would treat an album like an investment. Buy a CD and you're listening to every song on that bitch. Make no mistake. You want to get every $15 worth of your investment back. You would wait for years just to get your hands on that physical copy. According to old people, there's a certain commitment you make to a body of work when you purchase it. It's almost like you owe it to yourself to listen to it the whole way through since you spent money on it. That's money well spent. But nowadays, things are different. Why? Music is 10 times more accessible. You're just paying a small monthly fee instead for each individual song and album. You can listen to 30 seconds of a track and dip. Who's stopping you? There's no commitment. And that meant artists changing their approach was inevitable. Why do you think the third verse died? Individuals aren't sticking around for that long, so that third verse is unnecessary. So not only does song length matter, but the length of time it takes you to drop your album matters too. So does the girth. Roddy Ricch fell off because he took too long to drop, and it only took him 2 years. A decade ago, waiting 4 years for an album was completely normal. Nowadays, you need to drop damn near every year just to stay relevant. Notice how important feeding your fans is in 2022. Those Drake albums I listed a couple of minutes ago, they all dropped within 1 year of each other. There's this constant hunger for more, which often results in quantity being prioritized over quality. You're better off dropping a decent compilation than an unfinished concept album. And I think that perfectly highlights my issue with this. Although that album you dropped in a year may be good, the one you would have dropped after 4 years could have been godly, transcendent. And I'm afraid a lot of artists will be pressured to focus on retaining their popularity rather than making quality music.
See, everyone on the internet copies music from their CDs, and then we can download them for free and play them on the computer. All right, cool. Let's download some Metallica and some Stevie Wonder. Wow, downloading music for free is awesome. What the hell is that? I don't know. Let me check.
Freeze, FBI! Down on the ground! Down on the ground! Hands! Let me see those hands!
In 1999, the file-sharing service Napster allowed internet users to easily download single songs in MP3 format, which had previously been ripped from CDs. And even though the service would be taken down a couple of years later for copyright infringement, it was just a small peek into the future of the music industry. And already 2 years later, Apple's iTunes service was introduced.
Music
and
downloads
the
done
iPod,
right.
which was an MP3 player, I sure hope you know what that is, was released later that year. This, along with the continued rise in illegal file sharing, led to a steep decline in the sales of music on physical formats over the next 3 years. Be honest, how many of you would be in jail right now if piracy was taken seriously? Come on now. And in the meanwhile, the music industry still faced threats from competing media such as DVDs, video games, etc., etc. By 2009, album sales had more than halved since 1999, declining from a $14.6 to $6.3 billion industry. And that was mostly because consumers were gravitating to playlists on their MP3 players instead. But that didn't last for long, as the 2010s introduced services like Apple Music and Spotify, which became dominant and redefining platforms for music consumption, rapidly moving our music libraries off personal hard drives, iPods, and CDs and into the cloud. And thus, the transition from physical to digital was finally completed. So Adele is this pop megastar, known across the globe, listened to by all age groups, consistently on the radio, woo woo woo, we all know the deal. Did you know that Yeat, the rapper Yeat, has more Spotify streams than her? How is that possible? Sure, part of it is from TikTok, but the main reason is Yeat is more Spotify friendly. Now, what does that mean? Okay, I'll do the math for you. So streaming platforms operate on a pay-per-play basis, right? That means you get paid for every stream you get. Now, let's say you have a short song, for example, 2 minutes, and a long song, for example, 4 minutes. Even if we were to ignore the fact that shorter songs are generally more likely to be replayed, if you pulled a Justin Bieber and played each song consecutively for 20 minutes, the short one would get 10 streams, while the long one would only have half of that. I mean, there's a reason you don't see a lot of 5-minute songs anymore. Plus, shorter songs naturally take less time and resources to make. And then if you put out a lot of short songs, that means even more streams, that means even more money. And since labels usually own a big percentage of their royalties, I wonder if artists are being pressured to put out these bloated albums and even pair that up with how the charts favor long track lists. I really wonder if that's what's happening here. See, that's why DJ Khaled is the future.
You should strive for greatness.
How did you gain all the weight?
#1 record in the country, boy. We #1.
I have so much jewelry. I got more jewelry, and it's not even about the jewelry.
I get it. Ha ha ha, funny fat man. I understand. But in reality, his business model in this modern climate, it's unironically brilliant. This thing where you have some sort of celebrity or someone with a following dropping these compilations, which include all the hottest artists out. And of course, you're gonna give it a rollout and market it like it's an album. I mean, some movies have already made soundtracks with the same principle, but I'm not sure even they realize what kind of potential they have. This is literally the perfect format for dropping music in 2022. And that model will only get more and more relevant as time goes by. Mark my words, you will see DJ Khaled clones. I'm not even joking. You know what? Just come back to me in 5 years and tell me if I was right. I know I'm giving young old head right now, but the great thing is, since music is so accessible now, I mean, it's basically free. There's something for literally everybody. So even though you may not be a fan of the way mainstream music is formatted, you can easily find something to your liking. That is the positive. And look, maybe you'll put some people on. Who knows? So what if your favorite experimental band doesn't go mainstream? It's not like you want it to anyway. That way you wouldn't be able to feel better than everybody else. So just like with everything, there is a positive side. Artists are gonna be pressured to make more catchy, more creative, more unique songs than ever, just so they can stick out from the rest. And believe me, there's gonna be a lot of people in that pool. That's the one thing us humans are good at. Adapting. Evolve by any means necessary. Move forward. The album is dead and it's never coming back. And that's only because